that aspartame was approved and put on the market, and there is absolutely no doubt. Now, there are other causes, together with it, like MS and fluoride. And so the combination of it and the vaccines, these children don't have a chance. And also, aspartame is an endocrine-disrupting drug, and that's very serious because you can't even get pregnant when you're using it. It stimulates prolactin and changes the menarche and causes infertility. Then you get pregnant and get back on it, and it's an abortifacient, so you can lose your baby. It's a teratogen, and so it can cause birth defects and mental retardation. So,
when are they going to pump in stevia or chicory, which just for sugar is made from, instead of aspartame?
Well, they put stevia, in Coke. Says, hey, we've listened. We're going to put stevia in Coke, and they made Truvia, and then we started getting all these complaints again. And it turns out that, they really sweetened it with erythritol, and it was a combination of chemicals. They couldn't, if you just used plain stevia, the green stevia leaf with nothing in it, and it's pure, it's a very good product. But if you, like in Brazil, they add aspartame to it. So they can't leave a good thing alone as far as stevia. Now, chicory, the only safe sweetener I would say on the market, and Dr. Blaylock says, is just like sugar. And it's made with chicory. And one of the reasons that it's so wonderful is chicory has been used for 70 years to improve the health of diabetics. And it's just food. There's no additives, whereas aspartame actually precipitates diabetes and simulates and aggravates diabetic retinopathy and neuropathy, destroys the optic nerve, interacts with insulin, causes diabetics to go into convulsions. I mean, it's killing the diabetics. So there is a safe product. And incidentally, they just sent me something new they're making that everybody's going to love. It's hot chocolate. And it is made with absolutely no additives. And I can't tell you how delicious it is. And they're making gum, which is the aspartame gum is the worst product on the market because, as Dr. H.J. Roberts says, it's buccal. It is because it's a drug and not an additive. It works like nitroglycerin under the tongue, goes through saliva, straight to the brain. And so it's hard to find any gum that doesn't have aspartame in it. And just like sugar people are now making gum that is healthy. It's the only company I know that's not using additives. And so that's wonderful. As far as the stevia is concerned, you have to use pure green stevia and make sure they haven't added additives to it.
Okay. Well, let's go to Caledonia, Wisconsin. Tim's with us on the wild card line. Hey, Tim, go ahead.
How you doing, George?
Good, thank you.
Love your show. I listen to it every night. I got a question, like maybe a couple questions now after I was listening. I'm just talking, the radiation, with food and the water. Is there anything you can do, to avoid getting something from that, washing your food or
there's some special filters, Tim. I don't have the brand names here with me, but you would be able to search for that. I think that would help you purify some of your water. As for the foods, I would wash them. Betty, though, that's not your expertise, but any recommendations?
Well, I do work with Dr. Russell Blaylock, who is an expert on this. He wrote the book Nuclear Sunrise, and he put out an article, and he says you're going to have to change your diet, first of all, as far as farm foods from the Western world. And he gives a list of things you need to take. First of all, he says you need to take the iodide now. And he gives a list like magnesium and ginger. You can Google it on the Internet. Just put in Dr. Russell Blaylock and radiation. It'll come right up. And he gives you complete advice as to what you do. Of course, I have a machine that makes alkaline water because I had acid reflux and for 20 years and just instantly stopped it. Then you don't get any chlorine and you don't get any fluoride and any of the drugs. And, of course, if your body's alkaline, cancer cannot exist in such a situation. So you might want to look into something like that. And what you do is like my machine is that you wash your fruits and vegetables in the acid part of the water, because it's been shown that with tap water, think of vegetables out there being sprayed with pesticides, so that and it rains and the pesticide is still there, so that when you wash the tap water, what you're doing is actually washing the water. And we have a DVD on it, and I immediately bought the machine. So there are that I would get pure water. That's something that's very, very important. And I would read his report, and he will tell you exactly, what to use to help you, because it is a very serious problem, I know.
Okay, let's go to Grass Valley, California, Virginia's turn. Hey, Virginia, go ahead.
Problems with the aspartame. The first time I used it in a cup of coffee, I ended up in an anaphylactic reaction. And ended up in the emergency room.
Well, let me explain something that most people don't know. That's odd if that's the first time you used it. But aspartame is so poisonous that it causes polychemical sensitivity syndrome. Same thing as multiple chemical sensitivity syndrome. So even when we get people off of it and they accidentally use it, then they have, this very severe reaction. Many have gone into anaphylactic shock. And in the movie Sweet Misery, A Poison World, there was a woman who was in the hospital, and she told him, she said, look, I'm an aspartame victim, and I'm chemically sensitized. Do not, under any circumstances, let me have anything with aspartame. And they gave her some Crystal Light with aspartame, and she became a code blue, and they had to resuscitate her. Yes, it is so. This is what is so very serious. We have an aspartame information list that you can subscribe to, and think about putting it in coffee. When they first put it on the market, they said you cannot heat it. We're only approving it in dry foods. Well, what do you think you do when you put Equal in hot coffee? You just heated it. And at 86 degrees, it breaks down to a witch's brew of poisons,
What are some of the other things that are there like it that they're putting in food that I need to watch for? This is really scary.
Well, it is scary, but, for instance, aspartame has a synergistic and an additive effect with MSG. You don't want any MSG. You don't want any fluoride. Well, now they're putting so many different poisons and sweeteners. You got sucralose or Splenda that's chlorinated, that's chlorine, and sulfame potassium that's caused cancer and leukemia in original studies. So what are you going to do to get away from all of it? Don't use processed foods. It's difficult, and we try it ourselves. We try to eat organic, and Dr. Fagan, who used to say, if it's in a box, don't buy it. And sometimes you pick up something and you have to take a magnifying glass to even read the ingredients because they're so small. And Dr. Roberts has a saying, when in doubt, throw it out. If it's full of ingredients, just don't use it. And it's the only thing that you can do because, years ago, they never had all the poisons that they have today. And if you get on our website, you'll see so many reports by doctors trying to help you and telling you what to do. Like Dr. Blaylock has a paper called What to Do If You Have Used Aspartame. He will tell you what to avoid, what to take. And Dr. Caldwell has a detox program to get as much of it out of your system. All you have to do is email me, BettyM19@mindspring.com, and I'll send you the aspartame resource guide. And get on the list, and every time you have a question, all you have to do is ask, and we'll help you.
Betty, will MSG give you a racy heartbeat?
Yes.
It will.
And aspartame, too, is causes tachycardia, very, very fast heartbeat. One of the people that had been offered a year a year and ate a cookie baked with aspartame. His heart was so fast, it was beating so fast, they had to stop his heart to save his life. That, again, was that chemical hypersensitization. We now have a world that's chemically hypersensitive because of aspartame.
Let's go to Greg in Columbia, Missouri, first-time caller. Hey, Greg, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had a question. You mentioned that aspartame is in diet sodas. Well, what about regular sodas? And if it is in regular sodas, what about the throwback sodas like Pepsi and Mountain Dew throwback?
Yeah, are they taking out regular sugar, which we don't think is very good anyway, Betty, but are they taking out regular sugar in regular sodas and putting aspartame in it too?
Well, there are many regular sodas that do have it. Fresca has it in it. It's not a diet drink. And sometimes it's like they are testing it in different places to see if you know the difference. And an aspartame victim can tell. I know Dr. James Bowen, who has Lou Gehrig's from aspartame, he would tell me they're test marketing aspartame again. And, of course, first of all, we boycott all soft drinks, Coke and Pepsi, because of the fact that they wrote a 30-page protest not to put aspartame in there. So they knew the gun was loaded. In fact, we have it on web, and it's in the congressional record for that particular purpose that they knew ahead of time. So here's the company that turned around and lobbied for NutraSweet and, found out it was addictive and a cash cow. And so I wouldn't give them a penny of profit. But if you just get down to how safe something like a Coke is, you have to remember that there's other ingredients in it, like phosphoric acid. If you want to know what that is, that's toilet bowl cleaner. And that's why you always hear people say, if you want to clean a toilet, pour a Coke down. That's because of that phosphoric acid. You can imagine what it does to your bones. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, the home of Coca-Cola. I grew up on Coca-Cola, but they used to use citric acid instead of phosphoric acid. Aspartame was not on the market, so you didn't have to worry about whether to trust them or not.
When we were kids, Betty, we used to drop dimes in the Coca-Cola, and a day later go and get it, and it was shiny, shiny, shiny.
Absolutely. So, I personally would not recommend anybody use pop. And Whole Foods, they make pop, but again, they put it in aluminum cans. And I know that Dr. Blaylock has an excellent book called Health and Nutrition Secrets to Save Your Life. And he's actually writing in a chapter under fluoride, and he talks about the fact that between the aluminum, and the fluoride in pop and the aspartame, it's the most toxic product ever put out or approved by the FDA.
What do you recommend everybody do, Betty?
Well, I tell you, after I've researched so much, I basically don't drink anything but the water from this machine. You can't trust anything, and if I want some orange juice, I can take some oranges and squeeze them and have orange juice. But that's what I personally do.
And how do you feel?
Well, a whole lot better than I've ever felt in my life. As I said, I used to have acid reflux, and of course, I gave up pop as soon as I read the protest of the National Soft Drink Association. They're now called American Beverage, but it changed my health completely. In this day and time, if you want to be healthy, you just have to give up a lot of things you might like. Start researching, look at the ingredients, and then get on Google and look them up and see for yourself what they are.